live.
All right, this meeting is called to order. Let me shut the door. We are live as well. We do live stream all the meetings so that it's here. Welcome everyone. I appreciate everyone coming and attending the meeting. Thank you. We are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to say a few words before we start. We're going to do things a little bit differently today. Actually, we're going to just follow the order on our agenda, but I do want to say a few words after the pledge. If everybody will stand. Is there anyone that would like to start us off with the pledge? Any volunteers?
I will.
Go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And if you don't have a copy of the agenda, there, I believe Linda, our director, has printed some copies over there for you. So, all right. We are going to maintain order. We are following Robert's Rules of Order. We do the informal Robert's Rules of Order, in case you're unfamiliar with that, because we're a small body, we have 3 people. So what that means is that we typically do not second. And for those of you that are elected officials, y'all have a little bit different because you have a larger body. But for this meeting, because I want to make sure that we're maintaining professional decorum, we have a policy on that as well. But no one's going to be speaking on this commission unless they're recognized to make sure that we're also maintaining professionalism. We're also, all comments, as you may be aware, are at the end of our agenda. We may have to limit the duration, but I don't think that's going to be necessary because I didn't know how many people are going to be coming. So I think we're fine. But again, all comments, there's no speaking until the end of the meeting for the public. And I think that's it. So I just want to make sure that, just a reminder that we maintain professionalism. I do appreciate all the input. There was a few things on the public comments that were a little disturbing to me. And I just want to make sure that we maintain professionalism at all times. So I do appreciate everything and all the work that everyone's done. I think we have done an excellent job. And I really want to give Melinda and Amanda and the staff a round of applause for what they have done throughout this duration. I cannot tell you how happy I am to have you two. It's just a weight lifted. And it's kind of maybe hard for you to understand, but it's just, I tell you a lot, but thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, so we get emotional. All right, so our first item is to approve the previous meeting minutes from December the 1st. Those are really been 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Okay, have you two had
We have a correction that we need to make to
all right, Scott?
visitors present. I believe Hans is with an S. Hans is name, right, with an S, just need to put
It
an
is.
S.
And just as a reminder, we're not supposed to be listing the visitors on the, is this the visitors or the public?
It's listed under visitors, but he did speak. So.
Okay, because they spoke, so,
Yes.
all right. Are there any other changes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right. So,
With correction.
With the correction. All those in favor?
Aye.
The motion is adopted and the meeting minutes are approved. I've had too much coffee today and I don't drink coffee, so I discovered something.
I didn't think she drank.
All right. Did you have a chance to sign this?
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is approve the school district maps, and this is for the Jacksonville North Pulaski School District. Melinda?
Yes. And we have the superintendent, Dr. I may say this wrong, Owa, Jeremy. And then the attorney, Scott Richardson, is here, and Hans is actually their map drawer, right? So.
So I have a small packet for you, just to outline what we've done. We had to make one small change to comply with one person, one vote. And this is kind of the packet that I gave to the board when we passed this change. The map that Hans drew for us is the very last page, page 6. And then the former map is right before that at page 5. So the one change is between District 2 and District 4. District 2, District 4 encompasses the air base and gaining some population. So we need to move the lines between the two just to balance them out in the 5%. Hans's map gives you all the numbers. So we printed those so they're a little easier to read than on the small printout I've got on page 4. I have a zone demographics 2021 that gives you the table that he has on there. The board approved it unanimously. On page 2 and 3 of the packet I've given you is our resolution where this map was approved.
Fantastic, thank you so
Do
much.
you have any questions? I'm here to answer. Dr. Elwald can answer any others. Otherwise, we'd ask for a vote to approve on that.
I have no questions. Thank you so much, I appreciate that. Do you have any questions, Commissioner
No
Ammon?
questions.
Do you have any questions, Commissioner Scott?
No, I have a question.
All right, do you have a motion?
I make a motion to accept the certifying,
We're approving.
we're approving to approve the school district maps as presented from the Jacksonville North Pulaski School District.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion is adopted, the map is approved in Jacksonville North Pulaski School District. Correct. That's sort of adopted, thank you. And
Thank you.
we appreciate you coming, thank you so much.
Our pleasure.
All right. The next item on the agenda is the Quorum Court redistricting. The first item under that agenda item is discuss proposed maps, criteria, and public comments. All right. And Melinda?
Yes, we have, so I kind of, I just did this to just kind of organize. I put it in your packets, the public comments summary, and it has the actual emails from people, their name, their Pulaski County address, and I kind of broke down the summary on like the groups of the main comments, because I thought it would help. So alternative 4, there was 3 people that said they were for alternative 4. And then I put 4 or 4A, there was 1. But alternative 4A, there was 106. And then there were, the only reason I put this other criteria, there was 2 criterias that, or categories that, that also stated, like, if they adamantly said they were against alternative 5, I went ahead and, so it says against alternative 5, 18, and they were in the 4A group. So they're calculated in there. And then alternative 4A or 5, there was 1, and alternative 5, there was 6. And then in miscellaneous, about 5 of those 10 were just against alternative 5. And then on non-applicable, there was 20 of them, and what they were is their addresses were missing, and 2 of them had a blank comment, and I actually emailed everyone except the one. There was just a couple like that got in at the deadline, and there was a couple that did not comment on this. They were just commenting on legislative stuff, and so that's kind of, I just pulled them down and put them in a separate category, but it still shows, their comments in here.
Did you make copies for everyone, or is this just for us?
We actually do have extra. I don't know if we have enough for everyone,
Okay.
but Betty actually ran extras.
Okay.
So I can run and get them if you'd
Does
like.
anyone need a copy?
She did, just in case.
Are they still online or is it really bad?
They're all online.
I don't know.
If you could just raise your hands, if you need a copy.
And I did bring these in here because I'm usually asked every time on the variances for each of the maps up here.
If you could just raise your
So-
hands if you need a copy of the variances. Thank you so much. All right, so here's how I propose that we do this. We should have already went through the public comments. Correct? All right, so we don't need to go through the public comments again. Public comments are available online. You can read those public comments, or you can look at these public comments that there are copies of those. What I would propose to do is, based on seniority, and I'm going to be last, is turn to Commissioner Inman. I'm sorry, yeah, you were first. You were here before, Commissioner Scott?
I was here before.
Okay, I thought you were, okay. Sorry about that. Based on seniority, I will go last as the chair. Provide your thoughts, comments, and your preferred map. Then I'll start with Commissioner Scott, then I'll go to you, then I will speak, and then we'll come to consensus. Does that sound fair?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Scott, I will start with you. Did you hear what I was?
I did.
And this is on we're going to speak on one map.
We're going to speak on one map.
We're speaking on the map that we are looking at. We're voting on one map.
Do we want to discuss all the alternatives first?
You can, however you want to do it, and then what your preferred map is. That's the discussion.
Okay.
Your comments and thoughts on the maps, and your preferred map, and then we're going to come to a consensus after we all have discussed it.
Okay. Well, my thoughts as they relate, of course, we saw all the comments and where all those fell. Just making an observation of the maps. I think my numbers are correct. I was just looking through to see what the minority-majority districts were on each map, just to kind of get an idea of how those were sitting. It appears that the current map has 6 districts that are minority-majority, and the alternative 4 has 6. Alternative 4A also has 6. Alternative 5 has 7, has 1 additional. Alternative 6 I actually didn't do, but let me just look real quickly. And it looks like alternative number 6 also has 6. So the maps from that perspective are pretty close. We've got the one that has 1 more. The overwhelming majority of the comments coming in at 4A, I tend to go with 4A myself, but because of its districts are not changed that much compared to the current districts. And it does take in all the comments that were put in before, and then even a more overwhelming majority of comments that came in towards it. I tend to come in with that map being my choice first, and behind that map I would go with alternative 5 because of its additional minority majority district. But that's how I see it
Well, thank you very much. Is that all you have?
for right now.
Okay. Commissioner Inman?
Looking through the comments, I noticed that the majority of the ones supporting alternative 4A were from people who lived in the affected area. I mean, there was an effort that the commenters reached out to us as a body to put their neighborhoods together. And they had not been together before, but it's a like community, so I understand that. I appreciate that. I appreciate the effort put in by the people that took the time to comment. My preferred is 4A. For that reason, we listened to the people, we went around and we did our presentations and showed what we were offering and asking for suggestions, and we heard you, and I appreciate that effort, and that's the one I support for it.
Thank you. Is that all you have?
That's all I have.
All right, thank you so much. First of all, again, I want to say thank you so much for the participation. I would have liked to see more participation out of, 267,000 voters that are registered in Pulaski County, and then of course those that are also eligible to register who don't. I'm pretty disappointed in the amount of participation that we had, and I wish we would have had more. Hopefully we can do better outreach next time. I do think we did a lot to get outreach. I am proud of what we've accomplished, and I'm really proud of the staff for just going above and beyond, working incredibly long hours. And I know you're really looking forward to some vacation time, but I can't tell you how thankful I am for y'all doing that and just doing everything we asked, going to the libraries. I really enjoyed it. I thought that was a lot of fun. I hope y'all enjoyed it as well. But I think we set a model in place of how this can be done. And I also noticed how some other counties did it as well after we kind of set this forth. So I think it was fantastic. And I would like to see more participation, and maybe in the future we'll start seeing some actual governance and guidance at the top and put all that down. And maybe people will be more familiar with what the quorum court does and what, how important the quorum court is. And I think that the education is needed. So I looked at the comments. I really liked how we took those comments from the maps. We looked at 4. We took those comments and we set forth in Metro Plan and Pages. They took that and they created those new maps, and I appreciate that very much. As I said through the public commenting period, and when we went out to the different areas, I was very specific. And I said it's very important that we do not grow population areas that are growing. So in areas that we know are going to exceed populations, especially in areas where I live, we know it's going to continue growing. And not only is it going to continue growing, it has room to grow. I don't want to have an increased population in those areas within our standard deviation, because we create an issue with that upside down of one person, one vote. And then when you have these other areas that are declining in population, right? And we have underrepresentation because they're going to decline in population, and then we put them with that, so we have that ability to increase that population, and then over the next 10 years they keep declining in population. That's a huge issue to myself, and I know it's a huge issue, and I think we all agree that's a problem. So when I'm looking at this, I'm really focusing on that. I really like how 4A addresses those issues. So I think 4A does a really good job of addressing all those problems. I even submitted a comment to the city of Little Rock on their map, because they did that as well. They expanded the population in where I live, and unfortunately they did not address that issue. They kept it higher than the deviation, within the deviation, but higher in the population percentage. And unfortunately it's going to keep growing, and you're going to have representation problems. But I will say we can address it and ensure that we're withholding that one person, one vote, and maintaining communities of interest as much as we can. Unfortunately, you can't maintain all communities of interest. There's always going to be, like Hans explained to us, anytime you take from one, you're taking from another. But I think we did a good job in looking at that and taking in the comments. And we also had areas in Wrightsville that was an issue in the past that no one really ever addressed. We looked at the areas within St. Charles and Wellington Village and able to put that back together. And thank you, Hans, for doing that, because that was That was a really good job. But I like 4A, and it does all these things. I was pretty surprised at a lot of the comments coming out of the Quorum Court that also agreed with the 4A map. So again, I think 4A does all the things we need it to do. It's compact, it's contiguous, it also deals with the communities of interest as much as we can, because again, you can't satisfy all areas of communities of interest. And it's one person, one vote. It satisfies, as much as I would like to increase the majority-minority districts, I think it satisfies the requirement of majority-minority districts. And in the majority-minority numbers, I think we have published on all the different documentation of what that population changes have done in 2020, in the 2020 census. So my recommendation is for 4A. So now we can discuss our recommendations. And I'm going to leave it open for you two.
Is it
Okay.
time for a motion to?
It is time for discussion. We all three have a recommendation. And I will leave it open to, because as a chair, I'm not going to make a motion, but I will leave it open to discussion on a motion.
I'd be interested, Madam Chair, your thoughts on, you made some little comment on map 5. What were your other comments about it, or your other thoughts about it?
I didn't make any comments on that 5.
I'm sorry, I thought. Well, as to the map that did add the majority-minority district over and above the others, that is 5, isn't it?
The issue I have with map 5, and I appreciate that adding the majority-minority district, because we do have a higher percentage of minorities than we do in, I'm going to say that incorrectly. If you look at the overall percentage in Pulaski County, we have a higher percentage of, was it 2 or more races than whites? I think that's how it's worded in the 2020 census. I'm not fond of how it increases the population in one, and I think it does another place. I don't like that. I like in 5 where it does move some of that population of 1 over, and I think it was in 9, what it does with 9, but I don't like how it breaks the communities of interest. I think it's in, I'm going to get really confused here. I think it's in Hillcrest and Kavanaugh. I think Kavanaugh is a community of interest. I can't step on Kavanaugh Road and say that's not a community of interest if I can't cross the street. I think that might be an issue. But I will say that I do appreciate adding the majority-minority district, because that can be an issue, but it is a population issue. Yes?
I was just going to say, when you made mention of the splitting of Hillcrest, it also, map 5 combines Argenta area, North Little Rock, with Little Rock, and we're completely different political districts.
So, ideally, if we could, I think we met our requirements under VRA. We have 6 majority-minority districts. We have compact and contiguous districts. We have 1 person, 1 vote. I think we have done an excellent job, and I think the diversity in our comments, if you look at our comments coming from all sides, have shown that we have literally come up with a map that is agreeable to all. And I think that right there says a lot. That's why I think it was nice to try to hit that extra majority-minority district. I think we have, with the 6, I think that's pretty well represented.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think a job very well done, staff and us as well. We have made it known, and it's on the radar, that we're willing to listen to public comment as we make this change. I think that's fairly remarkable under the circumstances and the times that we live in. I make a motion to approve map 4A as the new justice of the peace maps.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion is adopted. The map is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Whew, that's a huge weight lifted.
Yeah, I feel very proud of us.
So, I'm like, what is the next item?
That's it.
Where is my agenda?
I
Okay.
don't either. Other business.
The other business.
I don't think we have any other business. We'll be taking the map and the plans over to the county clerks to file, and then they have everything set up for them on the schedule and how long, as far as contesting and stuff. We do, and we'll be looking at the calendar. We'll want to go through that map since y'all selected which one and kind of see if any of them need precinct changes, precinct boundary. And if we'll look at that and see how it affects voters, if it needs to go with any of the districts, or I'll see if Hans will work with me on that.
So let me ask a question. So I know a legal description has to be created. Is there anything that we'll have to sign to send that over for that legal description?
So the JP districts will go over, and that'll all be, for the precincts, you'll follow the regular standard, you'll have you'll sign an order. It's an order, isn't it? Called an order. You'll sign a document that we've had to do before, and it'll, with legal descriptions, and it'll point out any.
When do we need to do that? Is that the 3rd?
It will be that you have to do 60 days before an election, which no way we'd ever want to wait till then. But I would think that with the contesting and all of this, like with the period that clerk will want to make sure it's final before they work on it, will be, if they follow everything, I think it ends, deadline to contest, will be, it says January 30th.
Okay.
And that's by our timeline. We had the drop dead dates from the state, and so we can do the precincts and everything in January, but we'll be looking at them and kind of see.
But that's taking account into all the information, correct? When we're doing the precincts, we're taking account all the lines. So but we're not going to have all the lines by then, right?
What do you mean?
We have the House and the Senate, but we may not have all the school lines and everything by then, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right. And Little Rock School District will I'm glad I almost forgot to. They have talked to me whenever they have their board meeting next month. They'll also be able to, they'll have their redistricting, zoning and everything done in January also.
All right. So I'm going to go to, did you have any other business?
No, I was just joking on my
Okay.
voice.
Did you have any other
That'll
business?
be all right.
Okay. Are there any announcements? Announcements?
No.
Announcements? Okay. Okay, now we're open for public comment. Just go in order.
Okay. I just want to say thanks all three of you, behalf of District 10, and three of you guys, very professional, working together up there. That's what I like to see as an elected official, Democrats and Republicans working together, harmoniously making decisions in the best interest of the people, and you three did that.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Any other public comments? Anything online?
Just one, Max Brantley comment, credit where due to all.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I would set the next meeting, but I don't know when that next meeting would be. But of course, when we have that information, we always publish information. I can't, again, ask you, please subscribe to our email updates and alerts. Please follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We are trying very hard to get information out, and we can only do that if you help us share that information. So we are pushing information out, and especially with these next election coming up, it's imperative that we're pushing this information out. And if we do have any, we really hope not, any polling location changes due to precinct line changes, it's really important this information is out. So if you could help us by sharing that information out, there's any communications that are going out, it's benefits all of Pulaski County. So I just ask you to just share that information. And again, just thank you, and thank you to Metro Plan pages, and thank you to the staff. We appreciate you all. We are adjourned. Thank you so much.